Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Six Rings King Show on a new night, Monday night now, baby. We're really excited, actually, to have Eric McLean on the show here, college football analyst, co-host of The Huddle. Coach, yes! All right!
First touchdown of the year.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a six-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. We reporting live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the six-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards of Hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the Six Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Hey, welcome back. What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing?
Can't complain.
Big
night.
And for the University of Miami. Proud moments as well. Proud to be a Miami Hurricanes fan and alumni and everything else. How, Vish?
Yeah, it's still a tough one, but
still tough, but I guess
with time we'll reflect better.
We got some really cool stuff to go over today. Obviously, Vish was over in Houston for the Final Four game against UConn. Blue was able to attend this weekend's practice/scrimmage over at this indoor practice facility, outdoor wherever the hell they were. They were everywhere, I'm sure. So for spring football, as we're only a couple of weeks away from the spring football game, which will be exciting as well. And of course, Miami Hurricanes beat the brakes off of the FSU Seminoles in baseball.
Man, I'll say this: it is so FSU last year tied our postseason streak. They are not going to get close to the postseason this year, so they're gonna end up tied with us on that.
Yep, that's crazy. I know. I remember.
Nuts. It's 44, by the way, is the number. It's like a small number.
I know.
they did exactly 44 also, and then they're going to also just fail right there at that spot.
That's crazy. Anyways, DJ, Blue, Vish, guys. Obviously, we're going to start off with some Final Four action because I think that, it was an amazing run by the Miami Hurricanes, and they ran into a juggernaut over at UConn. Sometimes the moment got a little too big for them. Vish will probably I'll let you kind of chime in on this a little bit in a second, but some of the things that we spoke about last week and what you've been speaking about, Vish, on some of these other shows with Mel and Inside. What is it? Inside Out? Did I say that right? Inside Out.
Yeah, except it's stylized.
So
the E is a 3. Yeah.
With Matt. Yes. So, and some of the other shows that we've been listening to. The bigs down low. It was the Sonogo and Klingon show. Look, everybody else contributed, right? Dawkins and Newton and Andre Jackson and the rest of that team. That was an incredible team that UConn put out there, and I'm probably going to say that they're going to win it all. But San Diego State's got a hell of a team too, so
it could be a game.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting.
84-59 is going to be the final.
Woo! Look at him putting out.
Wow!
Just put out 57-0 against.
And while I have that, I like to take Joel Lenardi and beat his face because I will tell you this, and I'll be honest with you. I said all the way back in January. I said, if UConn is anything but a 1 or 2, I'll be. They were. Let me tell you, they were a terror all year.
How did they lose 8 games, man? How did that team
to be a 4? Come on, that was a slap in the face, and that's why I say you got to watch these games. You just can't rely on a stupid like Dave Lamont takes me to task. Oh, it's a formula. You know what? Get a new damn formula. Watch the damn game. Just like Miami. For them to be a 5, they should have been on the 3 or 4 line. If you watch Miami games all year long, when they were at their best, they could have beaten anybody. They throttled Duke at home. They never really were blown out of a game. And that's why I said, I don't go on those things. I go on actual, what they do.
The eye test, yeah.
And it just got me angry that when everyone goes, "Oh, well, UConn is an upstart team," they would thrash these teams because they're. And the thing is they got two of everything. It's like Noah's Ark. I mean, it's. If one guy doesn't do it, the other guy does. But I'll tell you what, the Miami Hurricanes this year, I mean, women and men just had to make you proud what they did. They were one of the top 4 teams in the country in men and one of the top 8 teams in women. I mean, how does that sink in? And here's even one thing. Miami's the only team, all those Kansas and all those powerhouses who've been to the Final Four and the Final 8 2 years in a row. They have nobody else did it. UConn wasn't there last year. San Diego State wasn't there last year. FAU wasn't there last year. But Miami was in that Elite 8 last year. So I'm just and it's just they ran into a team. And you'll see tonight, that team just they get up on you so quick. And I said that I think to I forgot it was one of the guys, maybe Luke or somebody said, "Oh, Miami better shoot better." I said, "Dude," and I said this last week on this show because I remembered. I said, "This team, you can't let them go on a run and get behind because if you do, you'll stay there because they've got so many avenues." And I just want to get that in there. I didn't threaten Joe Lunardi. I just think that he.
Well, you should have. Damn it. Vish, was the moment too big at times for this Canes team because we saw it, right? They missed a couple.
Missed 14 layups.
Yeah,
14 layups.
It was tough. Obviously they struggled down low as well. So.
Yeah, I do think it got – so first of all, just to set the scene, I don't know if any of you have been to a Final Four game before. That's more recently. It is so weird playing basketball in a football stadium. It's just big empty spaces. The ball sounds funny. The rim sounds funny. It is an awkward environment.
Yeah.
And you got to just mentally get over that. I don't think we ever did. I don't think we ever kind of got comfortable. And
there's no atmosphere. It's
actually I don't know that it's just weird. It's the whole thing is weird. You have these huge expanses of vast open. I actually took a photo when I tweeted. I was like, this does not do justice to how cavernous it is in here.
Yeah,
this is crazy. The court's like this, and then there's this whole thing around it. That's why when Pac's shoe broke, and everyone's like, "Why don't they have a spare shoe?" I'm like, the problem is not no one keeps a spare shoe on the bench. The problem is you got to go 3 miles back to the locker room to get it. Because it's a football stadium. That's where the issue is. No one's keeping a spare shoe on the bench.
No. I saw a final in the Superdome when UNLV played, and it was the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, no, exactly. So you've seen this. So it's just a crazy – and you have to mentally get over that, just play basketball. I don't think we ever did that. Yeah. Missed a lot of layups, missed open jumpers. And then the big thing, as Blue said, UConn is so powerful inside. They're big. The way that we play teams like that and we beat teams like that, the way we do is by forcing them out of their game, by making those threes, getting to the basket, using the quickness to get layups, and then they have to sub out of it. They have to go small to match up. When you miss your layups, you miss your open jumpers, then it just becomes them playing volleyball at the rim. So, this is the first time something's got to give, right? When we play so different than everyone else. We play small. Everyone else does not do that. So something has to give, right? Either the other team has to match up with us or we have to match up with them. We can't match up with them because it's not like we play small bites. We don't have the bigs.
Right.
So this is the first time and it was a lot of our own doing, missing layups, missing open jumpers that allowed them to build that lead. And then they just leaned on us. Actually the first half, the rebounding was fine, but we never forced them to get out of their game. And by the second half, they'd worn us down because you can only out hustle your way to rebounds for so long before the size makes an impact. So I think we played really poorly, which is probably the disappointing part. We could definitely play better than that, make more shots. We missed so many mid-range shots, which is exactly how we beat Texas. Made 2 threes in that game and scored 88 points by getting the mid-range and hitting pull-up shots. We couldn't make a mid-range jumper to save our life. Wooga got benched. It's crazy when you think about what happened in that game. If you came and tell me Wooga was just going to get benched.
Yeah.
Because they thought it was just overwhelmed by the moment. And I think Coach I was like, he's just not going to have it. Because even when Pac's shoe broke, we went to Beverly. Because Bensley Joseph plays a lot. He's closed games for us this year. So him as the 5th guy in the court is not really even it's normally Wooga, but it can be him, and it's like not even a thing. But when Pac's shoe breaks and you're like Beverly going instead of Wooga, that is a pretty big indication that Coach O was like, Wooga's not there right now. And, and then, Anthony Walker put in his standard performance of shooting a stupid three and trying post up spin moves when he's never made one before in his life and all that stuff. But like, the disappointing part is that felt like we didn't give our best game there. And not that we were necessarily the better team, because I don't think we were. It was more just like we could have done better than that. And then, the one thing they hadn't had is had game pressure. Like if it's close towards the end, how well do they execute? Because we played a lot of close games and they hadn't, but we never, after being down, it was 20 points at one point in the second half. We got down to 8. Felt like if we could get 1 or 2 more baskets there, then, it really tightens up, because talk about game pressure. You blow a 20-point lead and now it's close. That's all the pressures on the team that blew the lead, right? So we just weren't able to get that. We needed 1 more basket at the end of it, because we got down to 8. They pushed it back out, got down to 10. They pushed it back out. We never, we need that 1 or 2 more baskets to really put the pressure on them. But the reason we couldn't do it and get those stops is in the second half, they had 1 offensive rebound at halftime. In the second half, they had like 13. You're not going to make a comeback if you give the team that many shots at the basket. And that was the size. And it's because we never forced them out of their comfort zone. And if we'd made those layups and exploited our quickness more, they might have had to sub to match up. Instead, we just had to take it essentially. And they physically beat us up inside.
Not only that, but, some of the things that we spoke about last week was the play of our guards, right? Nigel Pack and Zay Wong didn't have their best games. And I know we mentioned earlier that the whole team didn't play their best, but those two, they probably had the most points out of everybody on the team, but they still didn't play a great game, right? Then you had the issue, the fluke issue with the shoes. That's not something you can control, but I just think that, once you saw that those two weren't getting it done, and then you kind of rely on, Jordan Miller. On top of that, Jordan Miller didn't have a great game either, right? So, and then Norchad is not, there's only so much he can do. He's great down there, but sometimes, he's going to get worn out by a guy who's 7 foot tall.
Well, and this is the way my brother put it, which I think is accurate, is like we played against Drake, except against a better team.
Right.
Like we were off, we were out of sorts. We got away with it there because it was Drake. You're not going to get away with that against. You mentioned Jordan Miller, like his little mid-range fadeaway that he's basically automatic on. He missed several times. Wong's baseline jumper, he missed a couple of times. Like those are like shots they never miss. And I think that's one of the things with that team is the reason they're so good is those mid-range shots and those little tricky shots, almost automatic. Those are actually tough shots. So it's very hard to defend when like the shot you're giving is a fadeaway in the paint to an undersized power forward. But that's the shot we want because he's good at it. And when those don't go in, like you can go a long, and then you're not making layups, you can go a long time without scoring, and that's what happened several times here. It's just, it's one of those like Pac's shoe blowing up, like that's kind of like one of those days, right? Like so, it's like when it's not going your way, it's not going your way, right? He finally made that layup, and his shoe exploded. So, so it's just sometimes it doesn't bounce your way. It felt like probably the moment a little bit too big for us, but also we just never. And then we never settled in, right? Because that was the big thing. Because they started 9-0. We actually tied the game in the first half.
Yeah.
But we never were comfortable. We never kind of.
We tied it at 19, and then after that, it was.
They went. I think they went like a 10-2 run or something after that. But and then we never got closer than 8 again. But that whole. We just never got comfortable where we felt like we were in a rhythm. It was even when we tied the game up, it was a lot of kind of forcing the action. And it was never like, because our whole offense is based on movement and the ball flowing, and that never happened. That's credit to UConn.
Yeah.
They're very physical defensively, and they played well. And it's also, if you can get to the rim, you got to finish your layups. And we just did not do that. And a lot of it was us mentally thinking we're going to get blocked. Like where I was sitting, a great angle of Pac bricking a couple of layups in the first half where it was pretty clear he had an open lane just to lay it up off the glass, and he went for like a reverse or like double clutched it and missed. Just
and
go
by the
up.
way, with as big as Sanogo is, he actually doesn't get up that high. So the opportunity to lay the ball up was there. And like you said, they got scared.
Well, I'm always of the opinion of if you're going to continuously alter your shots to avoid them getting blocked, you're doing the other team a favor.
Absolutely.
Make them go and make the block every time. You'll get some goaltendings, you'll get some fouls, and you'll get stuffed too.
Right.
But that's fine. Make them make the plays we did all this acrobatic layup attempts and all this trying to avoid the block. It's like just go up strong. Or sometimes we thought they were going to challenge and they didn't. We just shoot it long. Like we basically airballed some layouts by shooting them over the rim because we thought they were going to get contested. Like just put it in off the glass.
Right.
And again, I think that's where the moment got to us. Again, it's such a you got to experience this thing. Like the environment is just so strange. It is so strange. The whole thing is just it's a weird court, weird atmosphere.
Is the floor raised, Vish? Like
it is raised. Like the benches are on the side kind of underneath it. And then but I think the biggest thing is from a shooting standpoint, you don't see where it ends. It's almost like playing outdoors. It just goes on and on and on. And yeah, you got to mentally adjust to that. But frankly, we're the only team that look like crap. So FAU and San Diego State didn't look like they forgot how to play basketball. We're the only team that did that. So like they weren't missing 14 layups each or anything. So that's on us. Everyone's playing on UConn played on the same court we did, and they came out and made their first 3 threes and had no problem. So like it's not an excuse for us, but I do think it impacted us.
DJ, we'll kind of end here with you. I mean, you're up in the Northeast. You probably see UConn play a little bit more than most of us. Was there anything surprising or anything that you saw that right off the bat you said, well, this is just going to be tough for Miami?
I was impressed with the plays of the bigs inside because we mentioned them as a key to the game, but you don't really realize how much they could affect the game until you actually watch them. I thought Sanogo and Klingon played very well. They didn't really allow too much at the rim, and I think that's a big part of Miami's game, driving to the basket. So they kept the paint secure, and I felt like the rest of the team kind of knew that, so they were able to play their game offensively. Shout out to Dan Hurley. I mean, Dan Hurley is a good coach. This is a guy that went 8-21 in his first year at Rhode Island, and by the end of his time in Rhode Island, he was 26-8. His first year at UConn, 16-17 in 2018, 2019. Now he's 30-8. So this is also a guy that knows how to build basketball programs, and I think that's a credit to him. Boston College basketball is not very good at all, so UConn kind of carries the load in terms of basketball in New England, and I definitely have a lot of excited friends tonight, that's for sure.
It's funny, Dan Hurley comes from a pretty good lineage of player coaches as well, right? So
yep, absolutely.
Hats off to UConn. Obviously, they played an amazing game, but we're proud of these Canes, man. First Final Four ever in program history, and this was one hell of a team. I think that next year is going to be exciting to see what happens, because I know we spoke about this a little bit, but that transfer portal is going to be interesting for Miami this year. And they've got a couple guys. Michael Nwoko, who's coming in next year, is a big-time prospect, big-time player. Got some guys on the bench. Vish, I know I heard you talking to Mel about it. Christian Watson, Ja'Kai Robinson, Faber Air. Some of those guys.
Yeah. I think Faber Air is probably someone that needs probably a couple of years to develop. We've had some centers like that, if you remember, like Abuku Zundu and stuff, where it looked like they didn't know how to play basketball their freshman year. By senior year, they were really good. I think it's probably more that trajectory. Hopefully, Dwayne Casey can get a little bit basketball seasoning. I think he's probably closer to playing. But actually, AJ Casey. When I say Dwayne Casey, the Raptors coach, the old Raptors coach. Man, I've been traveling too much and my brain is fried. But wow. Whew. Anyway, but yeah, Christian Watson is actually probably the best out of those three. He just was at a position where we had so many guards.
They've got the foreign guy, the foreign player from what is it, Lithuania or something?
Yeah, that can hopefully knock down some shots. But I think Watson has a ton of upside. That kid's really talented. Just like you're not taking Wong off the court.
Lefty, right? Lefty.
No, he's a righty. He's a righty.
Watson?
Yeah.
I thought I saw him shooting free throws at the end of the game left-handed.
No,
I'm sorry.
Changing
That
his
was
luck.
Robinson. That was Robinson.
But anyway, but he's really talented. He's just like you got Pack, Wooga, Wong, even Jordan Millich, really a guard playing power forward, Beverly, Joseph. He's just not going to get minutes. Meanwhile, our bigs probably weren't ready, but they had to play.
Right.
So I think he's someone to watch. And then, like you said, I'm sure we'll be active in the portal and looking to plug some of these gaps as well.
Or the women are on the Caitlin Clark watch right now. The girl, she'll make $11 million next year.
Whew.
She already just signed with Buick.
Wow.
And if John Ruiz can get his claws in there, maybe take her out of that corn country, bring her down here.
Good luck with that if that happens.
I mean, I think we'd be. I think our whole program would be disbanded by the NCAA in 5 minutes after that happening with no evidence.
Oh man, can you imagine Caitlin Clark down here with
a lot of people like to hate on the women's game, but I'll tell you what, those games were very entertaining too this weekend. Yeah, very good.
All the games that women play. I mean, just watching her, she's like Larry Bird. Man. She was crazy.
She's a shooter from my house, man.
And I love a woman who taunts, I mean, there's nothing better,
I had no problem with what any of them did.
No.
With Reese, none of them.
It's
none of them.
Man, why complain?
It's a game.
It's a game. It's basketball. That's what you do. You talk trash to each other.
Yeah, you do. I mean, but I mean, she was like Steph Curry and this stuff. She'd get off the bench and shoot. It was, but I like it. It was very entertaining. And like I said, I mean, hey, listen. I felt bad for FAU. Holy Christmas.
Man. What a heartbreaker that was.
They had that game. And Vish, were you at that game?
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, it's one ticket, so. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Which is why it's so expensive. Because it's 4 fan bases trying to get their hands on the same ticket. Yep. Actually, I saw at the Sweet 16, the Sweet 16 ticket I had was way more expensive than the Elite 8 one. Because it's because it's one game instead of 2, and it's down to 2 teams, so it's less market for it.
Damn. Well, you could write it off at the end of the year, a little expensive.
Can I expense it to Ethan? What can I do here?
Yeah, talk to Ethan about that.
Yeah, I'm not confident I'm gonna get reimbursed here.
Hey man, let's say what's up to some of the people here in the chat. Roasty, Fresh,
what's up, Burning?
Tap, what's going on, fellas? So let's kind of turn our attention a little bit to spring football here, as we've got the spring football game fast approaching in a couple of weeks. I mean, look, Blue, you were at practice. You were at the scrimmage this weekend. There was, some exciting, some encouraging news, right? And then there's also some news where not necessarily negative, not necessarily bad, but it just kind of shows you we're missing some guys. We need some depth still. Some guys are still trying to work their way in, and there's still some rust and some rawness from some of these cats. I want to start off with, I really want to go opposite, and I want to go bad to good because I think it'll get everybody excited. But what are some of the things that you saw, Blue, that I don't want to say concern you, because again, man, we're 2 weeks, 3 weeks into spring football, not a big deal. But things that you say, well, we're going to need a little more help than maybe we thought, or we're definitely going to need a little more help at these positions, or we would possibly be in trouble if some of these guys get hurt.
Well, first of all, linebacker, very thin. Goa's brother is really nice. Wesley still's got a long way to go, man. A long way to go. He's an intelligent kid who's really he needs to work on everything. And then we got Corey Flagg as a backup. So linebacker, definitely. I mean, there's just, you have no depth whatsoever. You're going to put a lot of pressure on the defensive front. Impressed with the secondary. Darryl Porter got hurt a little bit, got knocked around, and we know Cam Kinches is going to be a freak. And Williams I think he was wearing the red jersey, so he didn't play a whole lot, or practice a lot.
James Williams. We're talking about James Williams, right?
James Williams.
Keith was starting next to Kitchens, right?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Offensively, the line is a big issue, man. You got two guys on there, and Lee and Cohen, and they're right now the centerpiece of really making this a solid line. But if either of them go down, it's going to be some problems because I don't right now. I mean, Rivers is running second team. I watched Mawagoa. Kid's the deal, but he's deficient. And, I mean, they were beating him up front a lot. He just doesn't, like Mario Cristobal was saying, he just has so much to learn. Everybody has so much to learn. Running game is going to be good. Chaney looked good. You just got to put some armor around him, and hopefully he doesn't get hurt. Because if he stays healthy, I'm telling you,
yeah,
he's an NFL. Everybody there said he's an NFL back.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt. Kobe Young he worked, but not very much. Restrepo got too big. He's got to lose. He's got to lose weight. He's up to 204, 205. He's got to. He's got to understand that you've got to give your body a rest, and all he does is work, weights, and can't do that, especially coming up now. I mean, so he's still going to be effective. He catches the hell out of the ball.
Blue, I think though that could, like you said, right? He's too big. That could definitely hurt you. Like you can get hurt if you get too big. If you get too big, especially at that size.
He's huge, he worked out in the weight room, but I mean, you got to give your body a rest somewhere along the line, and I was told a couple of coaches said, well, we'll finish up practice here in about an hour and a half. He'll be out here doing his stuff. Nobody else, but he will. And I said, wow, that can't be. Potentially they got one of the best kicking games. Both of the punters really nice. And we know Borregales is kind of automatic. But I will say something here. There is such a gap at quarterback. I mean, just amazing gap. If Tyler Van Dyke goes down, this is going to be tough. Ja'Cory Brown is not ready. He's just not. I watched him. Doesn't make the right decisions, and they were kind of getting in his ear about that. He's, right now, facts are facts. What you see in front of you is what you see. They didn't, obviously, what's his name's hurt, Arroyo. Carver looked nice, but he's still, got a lot of work ahead of him. They've got to get kids healthy. They can't afford to lose many people, and they can't afford to, limp out of spring with all these injuries. They've got to, because they can't put all their eggs in one basket that they're going to get everything done in 3 weeks when they start practice to when they open. So they've got to, we're going to see a lot in the spring. We're going to see more. And he promised that they're going to see a whole lot more than last year. And you and I talked about this last week, Jazz, that what does Miami have to hide? They won 5 games. So they've got to let it all out. While there's a lot of optimism, but there's a lot of caution too, because it's not a deep team at all. And even Mario acknowledged, we're still recovering from perhaps one of the worst rosters in the history of the program. They just didn't have a very good roster last year. So in reality, Miami's got work to do. The positives is you have some dudes. Yeah. And they're definitely going to have to bring in a marquee wide receiver. They're going to have to get another linebacker, from the portal. I think those 2 positions are musts. You got to make a play. There's no they do have running back depth. Because right now, you got obviously Parrish and Chaney, but then you got the young kid who got hurt last year. I keep forgetting his name.
Oh, Trevante
Citizen. I watched him. He's a good sized kid. He's ready to get back in the mix. And then you got 2 studs coming in, and so you don't always like to use freshmen, but you're not going to start them. They're just going to be depth.
But also, as running backs, I think you see a lot more freshmen, a lot more young guys playing that position because of the skill and what that position kind of entails.
Yeah, no, I agree. And they had some really good recruits there. I talked to David Stone for about 10, 15 minutes. He seems to like it. He says, I like what they're doing here. He was talking, to the coaches, and they all seemed to, they had the kid Ezekiel Marceline, who's a sophomore, going to be a junior at Central, was there, and he seemed to like what he was. Yeah, there was some. There was like a lot of Booker T. Washington kids were there, and they had, it wasn't an overabundance of players, but having Stone there, because he's a difference maker.
Yeah.
He's obviously the number one defensive tackle in the country, and you get him on, and you know what? I think the biggest thing is, and some of the kids from IMG. I was talking to what's his name's parents, the tight end, and she said there's just such a bond between the kids who play at IMG, and if they got a chance to come together, they will, because they IMG is one of those. It's like a college campus, so they hang out together all the time. They don't really leave much, so everything they ride their bikes around the campus, and they're hang out at there's like a cafeteria type of thing, and they hang out there and they play pool, and she says it's really a college lifestyle that these kids are adapting to as 11th and 12th grade, and so you never know what's going to happen. The running back Jarek Gibson, is I believe his name was it
Jared Gibson. Jared
Gibson. Well, he just got a running mate, the number one running back for 2025 in the nation from Alabama.
Yeah,
so
he'll transfer over there.
Yeah, I talked to him the other day, and he's so you never know. Miami's they've got to definitely stay healthy, and that's just got to be a fact. I mean, I know everybody has to stay healthy, but Miami doesn't have depth in a lot of places. Talking to KB about Jacoby George, he says he's got a lot of work in front of him, and and this is a guy who comes from the same high school as KB did, and but I think that, and even Timmy Harris said, we got some running backs, but we got to transform them to another level. So everybody I talked to just, they came at it with the reality, and not with, hey, well, we're going to be 11-1, and there was none of that.
Right.
It's just a reality, because hasn't the Hurricane fan heard this for a decade or more?
Yeah,
we're going to be much better this year. We're going to be 9 wins.
That's why I like what the coaching staff is saying. What I like what a lot of people around the program are saying, that this is still a work. It's cautious, right? It's cautious. It's a work in progress, and we're working hard, and we're getting these guys reps, and we still don't have, a lot of the guys in from the class, not only from the class, but injury.
No, I understand.
So that's good, though. Like, I kind of like that.
The coaches coach, though, Jazz, and that's what I like. There was a lot of enthusiasm, whether it be Dawson or any of the coaches, Timmy Harris, they were out there coaching. They didn't, last year you'd see Strong or one of those guys kind of like. These guys were, immersed into what was going on, and that kind of turned me on a little bit. I like that, I like that, and I even, when I met Dawson, I says it's refreshing to see an offensive coordinator that that is a people person, and a guy who really, and he goes, that's how I was raised. You got to listen to everybody. Everybody has an idea, and because he was talking to Harris. And remember, being the quarterback coach is so important, and him being both. And I think you could just see Van Dyke. He's going to the NFL. He is. There's just no way he's not. His arm strength, his decision making, he's got all of it. He really does. Looks now like he did 2 years ago. Nice. Looks more comfortable. He stood in there, and you'll see in the spring game, he'll make plays. But they've got to get some receivers in space. And Chaney can catch the ball out of the backfield, which is another. You know what? Duke Johnson was there. Me and Sony Michelle. So I was on the sideline with them, and we were talking, and both of them agree. You look at Chaney could be a real missing piece that they didn't have last year in a running back, because he's not just a tackle guy, but he's like Lamar Miller in the fact that he'll get you on a wheel route and he'll burn some safety bad. When he has to run, he's
I think it's stay healthy.
Well, that's the same thing with anybody, Jazz. I mean, there's a lot of guys that don't.
There's a little bit of a difference with Chaney.
No, I know.
He's been practice ready for two years.
Yeah, but
he's been in the. He's still a specimen. I mean, he's still big and strong, and I'll tell you what, he cuts and he does everything right. So, but you're right. But that could be. A lot of guys are on the shelf. I'd like to see Arroyo stay healthy too, because. He's a lot in the fact that, like Will Mallory, in the fact that he'll stretch that defense. He'll get in that secondary against a safety, and he'll give that safety a lot of hard time.
Vish, what do you take out of Blue's assessment of what he's seen so far? Is it more of a concern? Is it more of cautiously optimistic from what you're hearing because it's so early and like the coaches are saying the right things right now, as opposed to everybody kind of drinking the Kool-Aid?
I mean, I think I mixed the Kool-Aid then drank it last year. So, so at this point, like I won't really be thrown off anything because I frankly don't have expectations on this team at this point. We, like Blue said, we've been hearing he was being nice saying a decade. It's really 20 years, right? Yep, we're back. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And then the product in the field has never matched it. So, frankly, anything they say, including, not bringing that bravado in, doesn't really move the needle for me because, I mean, it's been that long since the team has been at anything really. I mean, there was a couple of years with Mark Richt where they looked good. Like actually, okay.
Hey, they were 10-0.
well, but I mean, even the year before that, when they were 9-4 and beat the brains out of West Virginia in the bowl game, you could it looked like okay, this is a proper football team and program. But those have been few and far between. Even Rick's last year, the Diaz years, even when they were winning, it's like we kind of suck. We won that game, but we're not. So it's been very rare that you're watching Miami play football and you're like, wow, this is a good team. Like, I'm not even talking about playoff level or winning. I'm just talking about this is an actual good football team.
Right.
And so, yeah, like Blue said, it's going to be a lot of hard work. So I'm sort of encouraged to hear that that's happening. On the other hand, said all that last year. We've never worked harder in our lives. I remember hearing that coming out of the players.
Same as it ever was.
Which actually, you know what? Those two things could be true. They might never have worked harder in their lives because they were under Manny Diaz country club before. So it might still not have been enough. Those two things are not necessarily separate, but yeah, I think this year is really just about laying a foundation for future years beyond it, right? We got to stop playing horrible football. You can lose games and grow from it. You don't play poorly repeatedly and grow from it. Because if you lose games, I mean, this is going to go way back. Blue will remember this, Jazz you might, but in 1999 we lost 4 games. That was the year before we went on that huge run of 3.
Yeah, of course.
Should have been 3 champions. We lost 4 games. We were 9-4. We got blown out at Virginia Tech. Yeah, and we lost to East Carolina. We blew a 20-point lead to East Carolina. But on net, if you watch that team play, you could see a lot of good things, even in the losses. And you're something is building there. It's not where you want to be. You certainly don't want to blow a 20-point lead to East Carolina. And you certainly don't want to get blown out by Virginia Tech. All that stuff is true. But you could see, all right, this is a platform from which you can grow. It's almost like the 2016 team that blew out West Virginia in the bowl game, right? You're that team blew a game at Notre Dame that had no business losing, right? Had the Florida State game, the blocked extra point. You're this team should have been better, but there's a foundation there. And then the 2017 grew out of that. We got to lay the foundation this year, more so in the records. If we can have extended periods of playing good football, to me, that's the goal this year. So you can, all right, now how do we become more consistent at doing that? Because I can't think of a time last year watching this team where I'm man, we're good. Not even for a quarter. And that's what's got to change. So yeah, and then injuries can all play a part in that as well, as Blue talked about. And I agree with Blue. I don't think we need more running backs. I think we're pretty strong there. If all of them get injured again, yeah, it would. Then we probably need to look at our strength and conditioning program or whatever's going on. But I don't actually think that's. I know Chaney's got the bad reputation now for getting hurt all the time. His stuff tends to be the more serious, like season-ending stuff. Those are usually not the injury-prone guys. The guys are like, miss a game here, then they come back for 2, and they miss another one.
Yeah.
Like his have been actual like serious injuries, which in a way is worse because it's hard to recover. But also, I'm not long-term like worried that he's not going to be able to overcome that. I think he'll be fine.
I think that this is a year. It's going to be a breakout year for him. With all that being said, I think I'm still confident that this is going to be one of those years where he's gonna finally show us what we all been talking about, how good he is. He's gonna be one of the best backs. He could be one of the best backs in the country.
Oh yeah, with all the intangibles. And I spent a little time with his dad, who was on the sideline too, and he says that the kid's worked hard, and it's taken a toll on his mind. And like Vish said, when you get those injuries that finish you for the season, it works on your mind. Because there's no way you could, okay, well, I'm banged up and I'll be back in 2 weeks if I work real hard. But, that gives you some hope. But if you have to sit there every single day and watch practice, knowing you can't even be a part, he said it worked on his mind, and then I understand.
That does. DJ, is there anything that you want to see coming out of spring football, right, as we get into the spring game? Based off of what Blue said, that kind of says, well, hey, we might need a couple extra guys here or there.
Well, one of the things that Blue said that really caught my attention was the kind of not shoddy offensive line play, but not great offensive line play, and then the big skill gap between QB1 and QB2. And I'm not saying that can't happen, but if Tyler Van Dyke, hopefully not, but if there is a chance he goes down with an injury, and, we're stuck. We're not. I don't want to say stuck, but we have to use the backup quarterback. I mean, then that's, I think, a cause for concern. Hopefully, Brown will continue to develop. I think for me, Brown's development is going to be big, just because, the line may need some time to develop, and oftentimes a developed line means trouble for the quarterback. So I'm hoping, those two things kind of go hand in hand, and I'm hoping. Brown can develop a little bit more, and then Blue mentioned, Chaney and the possibilities of him, becoming a good receiving back when healthy. I think, honestly, I'd love to see the running backs get a little bit more involved in the passing game, just in case the line is bad. That gives the quarterbacks a safety valve and, easy, quick throws to get out and move the chains. I mean, that's something I don't think we did enough of last year. I thought we focused a lot on down the field versus, finding a quick read with the running back. So I'm hoping they work on that during the spring. Again, those are kind of minute things, but I think, I guess the biggest thing for me is the line play and the quarterback gap. Those are two things I'll be watching this spring very closely.
Don't be surprised, guys, if after spring football, Miami doesn't go after a veteran quarterback that knows that plays this style of football, right? So that can kind of play that, that run and shoot, that air raid style offense. Don't be surprised if they go after a veteran guy in the transfer portal for this specific reason, right? Blue, what you mentioned, if TVD goes down, God forbid, Jakari has his moments where he flashes and you're like, holy crap, that's like Randall Cunningham style. Right.
Yeah.
And then you got.
I wish.
Yeah, but then you got all these
UNLV, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but not only that, he was a beast.
No, he was in the NFL too. But I was like, there's a UNLV connection there.
Yeah,
but I was gonna say, do you know that he led the nation in punting his senior year with a 49-yard average?
That's like Tony Gwynn leading the nation in assists, or leading San Diego State assists. But yeah, so I think that they'll address that situation in the transfer portal. I think you're going to see a transfer portal wide receiver. You're probably going to see an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
You're probably going to see some defensive help as well, because one place where you are really good, but you're also really thin at, is defensive tackle, right? You've got LT. You got maybe one or two more guys there. You've got Jared Harrison Hunt and Ahmad Moulton. And Ahmad Moulton hasn't shown anything
Moulton
yet, right?
looked pretty good.
he's probably a really solid player.
Yeah.
And then you I don't want to say you have a drop off, but you've got some improving guys there. Liechtenstein is still hurt, so how much?
Yeah,
him? You know,
there's
what I
a
mean?
lot of guys wearing shirts and not full uniforms, which
you got Branson Dean, right? Who's probably going to start if it's not Hunt. And then I think the biggest question mark is, and a lot of people have mentioned this, is the transfer portal guy Tommy Gore. Is how good is he? I think he's like my height apparently, right? So
yeah. Oh, I was telling you the other day. You know who's been a big disappointment? Moss.
Moss, yeah, because he's
still. Gosh, he's lighter than last year.
Yeah, he looks light, right? He looks really light.
I mean, like what's his name says, my wife's got a bigger butt than him.
Yeah, that's what we keep hearing as well, right? I mean,
there's a Sir Mix-a-Lot joke there, but
yeah. You did mention Blue. One more thing before we wrap up spring football, but one of I think that the biggest bright spots and the guy that you're going to see kind of shine this year on the defensive side, and we're really excited about him because he's got All-American potential, is Nigel E. Kelly.
No, yeah.
That's the guy that I think he's a good-looking prospect, good-looking player.
Smart kid, too.
Smart, put on some weight, knows how to rush the quarterback.
They like him.
I think that's the kid that's going to make some noise this year. Obviously the starters are Mesidor and Harvey per se, but Kelly's probably 1A, 1B, 1C there with those guys. So I'm really excited to see that.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's Mesidor though is a must.
Oh yeah.
And they got a key. He's another guy that's key and has to be healthy. But yeah, I mean, like you said, there's a lot that you like, but there's a lot you got to be concerned with. I mean, because even though the schedule front end is not that tough, with A&M being the tougher of the games, that middle and that end are going to test you.
Blue, we got to be like Noah's Ark in football too, right? We got to have two of each.
Yeah. Well, not now.
Not yet.
No.
Oh man,
you get an easy win at Boston College, so you can.
They're 1-9 at Boston College in the last 10 games.
Yeah, but Boston College is not.
Yeah, well,
keep that to yourself, DJ. All right.
Remember 2 years ago when they went up there and the big running back ran for 240 on them?
Yeah, I do.
No, I don't want to hear that.
Who, AJ? What was it? AJ Dillon? No, it wasn't AJ Dillon, was it?
No.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name, but he was.
I can't think of the off the top of my head.
Big kid, like I think he's playing.
Yeah.
Playing with the Redskins now. I think he's one of the Redskin guys.
Yeah.
Or whatever they're Commanders. I'm not being politically correct.
Well, we'll keep. I mean, the next time we talk, we'll be kind of previewing per se the spring game. So.
Yeah,
it was next Friday.
Week from Friday, right?
So you two are going to be out there, right?
Yeah,
I'll be there. I kind of planted the seed with our boy about getting in there. Well, no problem. Just hit me up.
The spring game's open to the public, right?
It is.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It
was last year too.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about being on the field. Instead of being in the stands.
I mean, I don't even think. I think if you show up to any stadium in South Florida, Blue, and say I want to be on the field, you're going to be on the field.
Not true. I had to walk 4 miles last year.
I mean, but once you got there,
yeah. Well, I was with Joaquin Gonzalez, so
that helps.
You brought a lead blocker.
Yeah.
Real quick before we end this, hey, Vish, baby. Huge sweep of the Florida State Seminoles, huh? And Blue, big. All four of us here are big baseball guys. So
complete demolition. Very happy to see people finally throw well.
And this time we scored some runs without hitting home runs.
Yeah.
No, it was. I mean, FSU's down bad.
Yeah, they are. And people. A lot of people say people had a great outing, and he did. But he still had some moments.
He had one inning. But I mean, if that guy gives us 8 innings with 4 runs, that's
come on. Yeah.
8 innings. He gives 8 innings. I couldn't believe it.
That's his longest outing of the year, right?
Longest
outing of his career, period. And 12 Ks.
So. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it his longest outing of his career?
Yeah.
I feel like he has randomly pitched well in the postseason every year.
Look, to me, I'll be honest with you, to me, Alejandro Rosario in the postseason is your perfect inning or two of just straight smoke.
See,
I
disagree. I think
his ERA is like in the 9s, but
yeah.
that's okay.
Well, I mean, it went the right direction finally this weekend. But I actually think he's the perfect guy to, assuming you're like a higher seed, like you're not like the 3 seed or something, to pitch that Friday game and just blow smoke. Like start the Friday game, blow smoke past the hitters that aren't used to seeing that velocity, and win that first game. And then you have
I'm just afraid. I don't trust him and his, because when he loses it,
I don't know, when he loses it. But I feel like he could just throw gas past like the 4 seed, and then you get that win under the belt, and you still have the rest of your rotation to go.
Yeah. Do you know the good thing? And they're on their way to set a record. Through 28 games, they have 497 total bases. That's crazy.
They've also hit 58, I think, 59 home runs.
Yeah. And I mean, but I'm just saying, this is from an offensive standpoint. I mean, it's a really productive team. I think their batting average was up around 290 something, and I mean, they had, who was it? Kafis, and they had 7 home runs, and then you have a bunch of guys with 6. Zach Levinson's had a really good year. He's like,
hold on, Blue. We got to mention the home run king right now, which is Vish's favorite player,
Morales?
Carlos Perez.
Okay, so
runs.
So I didn't see any of that. I just saw Dom knock one into the parking garage. So
he did. But your boy is leading the team with 8 home runs.
No, he's really worked at it. He couldn't hit for anything last year, and he's become a plus hitter. So
yeah.
He's also like around the 220 mark too, but
again, he's not the best player on the team or anything. But he's actually
he's a hell of a catcher.
Jazz is making fun of me because we talked about this offline like before the season started. And like to me, that was the biggest worrying position because Perez was going to be the starter. He hit like 1 something last year, had no pop, no anything really.
Yeah.
And we've got Scanlon in from Oregon who couldn't hit at Oregon. The hell's he going to hit at Miami? So I'm like, I was like, I don't know why JD Jones hasn't gotten more of a chance, but you know, Perez being able to hit in the 200s and show pop means that that's not a dead.
Yeah, no, I understand,
and that's a huge jump from where I thought we were coming in. Like he's been a huge pleasant surprise.
I'm happy if he hits 260 and hits 12 home runs. I mean, what more can you ask for from that guy? You know,
Yohani Morales is your favorite.
Oh man, no, I mean, yeah, he's. I think he's a lot of people's favorite, but
I mean, he's the best player on the team, so I don't know what to tell you. Like, I mean,
how can he not be? But hey, you know who leads the team in RBIs on that, and that's a freshman, Blake Sears. So
yeah, Blake Sears had a really good year.
He's having an incredible year right now.
Yeah.
You know, hopefully,
he's one of the guys with 7 home runs too.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't hit a little bit of a wall. He is a freshman, so we want him. I think that's why they're kind of rotating him with DH at second base and giving him a
and I think we still need to figure out, like, Dorian's struggling still. Like that second base position is a problem because in addition to rotating here to like not have him play every day as a freshman, it's also he's not great in the field.
Farrell's struggling as well.
Yeah, so. Farrell's struggling. He's been. I think against lefties we're putting Sear in the field and DHing Farrell, and then against righties it's Dorian is I still, but I think I'm on this by myself, on this bus by myself, but I still feel like Ariel Garcia should play a lot more, and I think he could play second.
No, I don't think you are. I would take him.
And he just doesn't get that fast, doesn't play, and I feel like he should be getting some of those.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, especially if Farrow continues to struggle. Like, how about when there's a righty, when there's a lefty, let Ariel play second and DH Sear there.
Well, it's funny you say that because I think that's where I was kind of going with this. I think the pleasant surprise this year has been Jacoby Long being able to come in and get some valuable, some good at bats. Obviously, he's a good fielder, so he can go out there and play the outfield. But he's gotten some decent at bats. He scored a couple runs and putting the ball in play a little bit. So I think he's been a little bit of a surprise out there. Dario Gomez is kind of inconsistent, but he's gotten a little bit better as the year has gone by. So I think you're going to see a lot more Jacoby Long probably quicker than you'll see Garcia or anybody else, just because he's been able to play a little bit. So just surprised I haven't seen any Caden Martin at all. I thought that based off of what he did in the fall that he was going to come in and get some playing time, but it is what it is. I think this team can continue to, to play the way they're playing, get a little hot. Pitching continues to be, to get better, especially that the middle relievers are the biggest concern for me because Guile is just stinking right now, right? Like he's just a
He gets
fragment of what he was. Yeah, he was a fragment of. He's 95, 96 off the bump, but he's just everything is
doesn't matter.
Yeah, and so Lecarica is the one that they've kind of leaned on for a while now. Chris Cinta as well, and there's a couple other guys, Ben Chestnut, Alejandro.
Are you worried though about like how short we've already shortened our bullpen up, and like we're not using a lot of arms?
Yeah, it's really what it's Torres, Chestnut, Cinta,
Lecarica,
right,
and Walters.
And Walters, and then Rafe comes in to face like one guy, right?
Yeah, but I feel like we almost because given that like we don't really one of those guys is technically the midweek starter too.
Yeah, Torres, right? Torres.
Well, sometimes it's Torres, sometimes it's Chestnut. They generally go like 2 to 3 innings, and the other one does 2 to 3. So like that's a very shallow bullpen.
Yeah.
For the beginning of April. Like maybe when you get to May, you shorten it up and you got your trusted arms. Like I'm worried he's going to wear out the bullpen here.
Well, I think the problem is also like first of all.
No, if people can keep giving us 8 innings, then it's less wear and tear. But like, I mean,
I'm a little conflicted with Rosario going 8 innings last weekend. Well, yesterday basically, because I get why he did it because he wanted to continue to build his confidence and the way he was throwing really well. But I also think that game might have been an opportunity to get some guys in there to get some work too. So I, like you said, Vish, right? Like, yeah, it concerns me a little bit because in the postseason, you need a ton of arms, man. You're going to need arms because if you throw your guys two days in a row, then you're going to be struggling. It's Johnny Hostaff that third game.
Yeah, giving up 5 runs a game, though. That's it. Just you can't do that.
And then it's also given that like our midweek, our fourth pitcher, whoever it is, either Torres or Chestnut's also like one of the key bullpen arms. How the hell are we going to play a regional?
Yeah,
like
we got a couple tough games this week. They got UCF FAU this week, so or
UCF for Virginia,
and then they're going to Virginia.
Oh yeah, Virginia, but UCF tomorrow.
Maybe I'll try to get down there and watch the game on Saturday. We'll see.
Yeah. It's a 1:00 game.
Yeah, but it's here-ish.
Yeah. So, it's up there.
It's like 2 hours from me. Maybe I'll go down there.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Well, geez, if you went to all those basketball,
I know. I almost feel like I need to be.
That's home. Like an easy road trip.
Well, I could go and come back in the same day at least. I definitely won't make the Friday games. It's like early. I do have a job.
Yeah, it's a 6:00 game.
But maybe I'll do the Saturday drive up and back.
I don't know if they can take 2 or 3 from UVA. I think that's a solid weekend. They got to beat UCF. They're always a tough team. UCF
Jerry always tough.
So if they can do a little damage this week and go like what is it to 3-1 this week, I'm happy with that. Right? UVA is a really good team. They've only lost like 3 or 4 games this year. I don't know something.
Yeah, like no, we've been playing again. My biggest like Wake Forest kind of pantsed us a little bit, and they
pantsed everybody though.
Yeah, but they're a top 5 team. Other than that, even against Florida, like we looked okay. I'm okay. Again, my biggest concern is not just the quality of pitching, but just the number of pitchers we're using isn't enough. Isn't enough to get through a regional.
If Guy was throwing okay, then you feel a little bit better. But gosh, every time he gets in,
I mean, I don't think. I'm just trying to even think what we would do if we like got into a losers bracket right now.
But you can't go into every game thinking you're going to outscore everybody like that. And 10-9, and
it's not going to happen.
No, it's not. It's not going to happen. But it almost is going to have to happen for us to get out of a regional because there's no way like we have the pitching to. Like we definitely have to win the first 2 games because how the hell else are you going to get out of?
Yeah,
we don't have the pitching at all. We don't really have we barely have a third starter because people's been struggling so much. The midweek guys are actually on bullpen arms. Like
all I could say is in the first couple of minutes of this game, UConn never played this bad as they're playing now as they did against Miami. Miami, they couldn't do anything wrong.
Unbelievable.
Well, I mean, such is
And they're only down 2, so there you go.
No, I'm just saying, though, San Diego, I thought they would be like 16-6.
Yeah, but San Diego State is very good at ugging the
good
game
defense.
up.
Yeah,
they're going to make it like they're going to basically play exactly how we don't, which is just beat the crap out of UConn too and try to make it into one of their types of games, which is like playing the 50s.
No doubt.
And they're good at that. And we're an offensive team, so when we missed our layups, like it was done.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to ever like that Drake game was an anomaly. We don't win games 60-something to 50-something. We get 80, which we did multiple times in the tournament, which is insane, by the way.
Yeah.
The number of points we were putting up is like crazy.
Fellas, let's keep it locked here every week for the every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. We'll preview that spring game next week and talk a little more baseball, hopefully, after coming off of a good baseball weekend again. So
yeah, hopefully.
Make sure you guys keep it locked here on the 5 Reasons Sports YouTube channel.
And just some other kind of programming announcements. So I do have Matt coming back on Wednesday at 7, leading into Hitting the Apex, our Formula 1 show, which crazy race this weekend. We got a lot to talk about for that. So definitely check that out. But Matt and I are going to talk about how we got the Final Four game so wrong. We've been pretty good on like talking about like what's going to happen and having it actually happen. Not just the result, but like, this is a matchup we can exploit. We missed pretty heavily on the Final Four, so we're going to talk about that a little bit. And then also with both Matt and if you saw Melissa was on earlier with me, we're going to kind of wrap up, because right now we're kind of still focused on last weekend's game. We kind of wrap up those seasons for the men and the women as well. So there's a little bit more basketball content before we formally graduated the off season there. And then Jasmine, I got to get you on to do some baseball talk.
All right, let's do it.
Got to get you on to do some baseball talk. I don't need to go outside network for baseball talk. I got my man here. So
that'll be fun.
We got to start doing more baseball content. So
DJ, Blue, Vish, always a pleasure. Let's keep it going. We'll see you guys next Monday night.
Sounds good.
The 6 Rig King Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig King Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings King Show.